and everybody. Okay, a very good morning to all of you. Today I would like to share the part of my research and a very big thank you for all of your cooperation, and I wish you have an enjoy session in this meantime. Okay, as you can see now, my paper title is Emotional Intelligence, Depression, Anxiety and Stress of Civil Servants in COVID-19 Pandemic. Okay, now we go to the next slide. Okay, for the first thing is, let me see the introduction. Okay, as you know, civil servant as employees are one of the dimensions in a very significant integrative factor that plays a supporting role in the development of human capital of a country. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with the outbreak of the pandemic phenomenon of the COVID-19, me and my team felt the need for a study to determine the relationship between the variable of emotional intelligence and related with mental health like depressed, anxiety and stress. Okay. However, we know that no one expected the presence of a large and severe test that hit the whole world, including Malaysia, namely the aggressive attack of the COVID-19 virus. So, the situation is very affecting to all sections of society and various sectors of employment as well as the economy. Certainly, it has an indirect and direct impact in many elements, spanning social, economic, physical, emotional, and mental on everyone. Okay, let me see the problem statement of this research. Why I'm focused for this research? I will discuss the point of the problem statement here. Okay, COVID-19 pandemic has changed the ecosystem and landscape of the world of work. New norms will be a prolonged constraint may affect the daily functioning of an individual, the quality and focus. So the expectation is almost correct because as of the months in March in Malaysia in March 2021, the vaccination process to prevent COVID-19 has just started in Malaysia, while in other countries, I'm sure it has also started in early 2021. Okay, but the COVID-19 pandemic give so many impact. For example, the psychological impacts that needs to be given attention in dealing with the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, both during and after the threat of an outbreak. Because it was found that there were emotional outbursts and eruptions like anxiety, nervousness, worry, panic, stress about the risk and threats of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the outbreak of all negative feelings arising from the COVID-19 pandemic scenario actually will affect the emotional stability of civil servants and can lead to behavioral change. Yeah, thus can have an impact on the quality of work in the organization. Such emotional mindset and behavioral change that we need to be understood through the domain studied in EQ and the scale of depression, anxiety, and stress. So, ladies and gentlemen, thus the researcher, me and my friend felt a study should be done to examine not only the level of EQ and the scale of depression, anxiety, and stress among civil servants after COVID-19 outbreaks, hence the effect between those variables. Maybe also we want to see the impact after pandemic. Okay, you see another slide about the research objectives. Why I'm doing this research? Okay, as you can see here, the first objective the first objective is to test the relationship of emotion domain with the scales of depression, anxiety, and stress. And for short is DAS. For short is DAS of civil servant in the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, the second objective is to test the relationship of the self-awareness domain with the scale of DAS. Okay, the third objective is to test the relationship of the emotional well-being domain with the DAS. And the last objective is to test the relationship of the emotional regulation domain of COVID-19 challenge. This is a specific to see the related of EQ and COVID-19 challenge with the scale of DAS among civil servants. Okay. Okay, now we see the research methodology. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the research design, okay, the first point is which research design that I use. This type of study is non-experimental research and in the form of field studies, as well as descriptive with the use of correlation statistic. Okay, correlation analysis was chosen as explaining the relationship of the variables. Okay, the second point is about the research location. Okay, the study was conducted at MARA. We call in Malaysia is MARA. There is short form for Majlis Amanah Rakyat. In English is People's Trust Council. Organizations that is from the whole state in my country in Malaysia. Okay. Actually, the MARA is one of Malaysian government agency. It was formed to serve and provide the guidance not only in business and industry, but also in education and general knowledge. Okay, so the council is responsible for developing, encouraging, facilitating, and fostering the economic and social development in the federation, particularly in rural areas as well. Okay, the next is about the research sampling. Okay, third point is about the research sampling is around 2,268 employees were selected is among academic staff and non-academic staff. Okay, they have the salary grade that I choose from grade 19 to grade of the high grade. So the systematic random sampling used for this research sampling to the sample selection process. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and the last point for this section for this research methodology is about the research instrument. Okay, the developed questionnaire went through a process of instrument validation and phase validation named as emotional intelligence domain inventory of COVID-19 challenge. The name is emotional intelligence domain inventory of COVID-19 challenge. The availability value of this instrument is 0.894 and the KMO total is 0.954. Whereas the second instrument is DAS 21, depression, anxiety, and stress scale, and the availability value is 0.864 and the total KMO is 0.879. Okay, we go to the next slide. Okay. Next, we will go through the analysis of research findings. Okay, as you can see here, this is the result of this study. So we strongly agreed that all the EQ domain had the relationship with the scales of DAS, depression, anxiety, and stress. Okay, for answering the first objective, you can see here, the result of the analysis found that the emotion domain had a significant negative correlation with the scales of DAS, which is negative 0.250. Okay, and the result for the second objective is found that the domain of self-awareness had a significant negative correlation with the scales of DAS, which is the significance is a negative 0.213. Okay, we see another result. Okay, for the third objective, the result of the analysis found that the domain of emotional well-being had a significant negative relationship with the scales of DAS, which is negative 0.205. And the last objective, the result clearly show that the emotional regulation domain provided had a significant negative correlation with the scales of DAS, which is negative 0.214. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the big conclusion for this study, you can see here, there were the significant correlations in line with the dimension of emotional intelligence also that introduced by Barr on 1997. So the big conclusion for this study is the influence and correlation of EQ, namely the domains of emotion self-awareness, emotional well-being, and emotion regulation of COVID-19 challenge with the scale of depression, anxiety, and stress. The was significant. Okay. Although the amount of the contribution this effect in terms of percentage is not too great for any domain on the concept of thus depression, anxiety, and stress, but can be interpreted that the domains of EQ respondents in the study have the relationship and can influence in helping to retain the right elements well-being in emotional stability. Okay, so quite clearly, these four domains of EQ can be functioned as among the variables that can influence the level of depression, anxiety, and stress among respondents.
Dr. Siti, you should come to a conclusion. You have
Okay.
3 minutes left.
Okay, right. We go. Okay, thank you. We go to conclusion now. Okay, for the conclusion of this presentation, now we can see clearly that the results of the study indicate that the COVID-19 pandemic has its own distinct influences on civil servant as employees. However, the effect can be stabilized by the influence of EQ that contributes to a normal level for mental health among employees. So the relationship between EQ domain with depression, anxiety, and stress is clearly showed that the ability to control emotions to achieve emotional well-being was found to help employees to be in a more calm and more controlled state. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much and see you again.